Assalamu alaikum students. Once again I welcome you all to our Islamic session. We have already started with Unit 8 Chapter 2 Only Allah Gives Life and Death. Up till now we have learnt the important teachings of the Holy Quran on life and death. The belief that it is Allah only who gives life and who causes death. We have also learnt how does the belief in Al-Qadar influences the fear of death. We have also started with a new subtopic. When and how does human life start? According to Islam and according to science. In this regard, we learnt an important hadith which stated that life or the creation of any human being begins in the womb of the mother as a drop of fluid. Then the drop of fluid becomes a clot of blood. Then the clot of blood becomes a lump of flesh which looks like as if it is chewed. It is also termed as fetus. Then by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, an angel blows soul into the fetus. In today's session, we'll study how and when does human life end according to Islam and according to science. Before that, we'll see an important commentary. Professor Keith Murray, who was a very famous embryologist. Embryologist is the one who studies embryos in detail. Embryos is nothing but fetus. And Dr. Keith Murray was a former president of the Canadian Association of Anatomists and of the American Association of Clinical Anatomists. He was honored by the Canadian Association of Anatomists with the prestigious JCB Grant Award. And in 1994, he received the Honored Member Award of the American Association of Clinical Anatomists for his outstanding contribution in the field of clinical anatomy. At a conference in China, Professor Keith Murray presented a research paper and stated, "It has been a great pleasure for me to help clarify statements in the Quran about human development." What did he state? That it was a great pleasure for him to clarify the statements in the Quran about human development. Further, he says, "It's clear to me that these statements must have come to Muhammad, peace be upon him, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." He testified that these statements must have come to Muhammad, peace be upon him, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why did he testify? Because most of this knowledge, the knowledge related to human development, was not discovered until many centuries later. This proves to me that Muhammad, peace be upon him, must have been a messenger of God. He testified. Further, he stated, "For the past 3 years, I have worked with the embryological committee of the King Abdul Aziz University in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, helping them to interpret the many statements in the Quran and Sunnah referring to human reproduction and prenatal development." He was working with the embryological team, with the embryological committee in King Abdul Aziz University, helping them understand the statements in the Quran referring to human reproduction and prenatal development. Prenatal development is the development of the fetus or the embryos that takes place in the womb of the mother. Further, he states, "At first, I was astonished." He was amazed. Why? By the accuracy of the Quran's statement that were recorded in the 7th century AD, before the science of embryology was established. Centuries ago, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned everything clearly in the Quran. So when he interpreted, when he understood, he was surprised by the accuracy of the Quran, because till that time, in the 7th century AD, there was no science of embryology discovered. Professor Murray also stated, because the staging of human embryos is complex, owing to the continuous processes of changes during development, it is proposed that a new system of classification could be developed using the terms mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. Because the development of a human embryo, the development of fetus, is a complex phenomenon, because continuously changes are happening, isn't it? First, it is a drop of fluid, then it becomes a clot of blood, then it becomes a lump of flesh, then on and on the changes takes place. So, owing to that, Professor Murray stated that a new system of classification could be developed using the terms mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. The proposed system is simple, comprehensive, and conforms with the present embryological knowledge. Now, the intensive studies of the Quran and Hadith in the last 4 years have revealed a system of classifying human embryos. Just imagine, with the help of the study of the Quran and Sunnah, a new system of classifying human embryos was revealed. And that was amazing. Since it was recorded in the 7th century AD, the description in the Quran cannot be based on the scientific knowledge in the 7th century. Because when the Quran was revealed, there was no scientific knowledge discovered related to this topic. So Professor Murray was amazed, and he believed that the statements were revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very clearly, everything, every minute thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has clearly mentioned and stated in the Quran centuries ago, which the scientists are now discovering. The last subtopic in this lesson, when and how does human life ends? The end of a life. How will a life end? We all are going to die. When and how it will happen? Sounds scary, isn't it? Let's see in the light of Quran and Sunnah. The Quran and the Sunnah are clear that human life ends when the angel of death takes away the person's soul upon an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The soul that was breathed, the soul that was blown into that person when he or she was a fetus in the womb of the mother, as we have learnt earlier, how the angel blows soul into the fetus. At that very point, life begins. And when the angel of death takes away the soul back, life ends. And the body of that deceased person, of the dead person, will deteriorate. When the soul is taken away by the angel of death, as we all know, the body of the dead person is buried. Then the body deteriorates, means it degrades, it perishes, and later on it vanishes in the grave. After a few months, there are no signs, there are no marks left that he or she was buried. The soul of the person will be spared, will be left until it is united with another new body created for that same person in the hereafter. As we all know, we all will be raised back, we all will be brought back to life by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. At that point, our soul will be united with our body. Let us now learn how human life medically ends. According to science, when is it declared that a person is dead? In 1985, the Islamic Organization of Medical Sciences organized a seminar on the Islamic concept of human life, its beginning and its end. A group of major Muslim scholars and medical doctors and experts met in Kuwait. They discussed matters concerning to beginning and end of human life. According to scientific facts and Islamic law, the seminar concluded that in most cases where death occurs, there is no real difficulty in recognizing it on the basis of commonly known indicators. In most cases, there is no real difficulty in recognizing that a person is dead on the basis of commonly known indicators. These ascertain the absence of life signs in the deceased. Absence of life signs means how do we come to know that a person is dead? Breathing stops, we check the heartbeat, the pulse rate, and then we understand. It was determined that a death case is established only if the brain stem becomes void of life signs. Brain stem, it is the inferior part of the brain adjoining the brain and the spinal cord. And when this brain stem becomes void of life signs, means there are no life signs left in it, a death case is established. As this part of the brain stem, is responsible for basic biological functions. This is what is termed death of brain stem. Means when it becomes void of life signs, it is termed as the death of brain stem. A case can only be considered hopeless, no hope, if the brain stem is determined to be dead. In this case, the person's life is said to have ended because the brain stem is determined to be dead. So there is no hope for the person to live. Even if movements or functions remain for a while in other organs of the body, but The brain stem is determined to be dead means the person is said to be dead. Because these functions and movements will definitely come to a standstill, they will definitely stop after the death of the brain stem. This is the way our life comes to an end, the life of we human beings, according to science. Children, this is the image of a human brain. You can see the brain stem. It is the posterior part of the brain that is responsible for basic biological functions. And according to science, when this brain stem is determined to be dead, then it is said that the life of the person has come to an end. The person is declared to be dead. Here we complete our second lesson. Let's quickly summarize the key concepts. The first one, Allah is the only one who gives life and takes it away. He is the only one who gives life and causes death. He has the ultimate power of controlling matters of life and death. Allah created life and death to test mankind, to test we human beings. He wants us to prove whether we commit good or evil deeds. As we have learnt through the references of different verses from the Holy Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created life and death in order to test we human beings, who amongst us does the best of deeds. Death is a definite end to every created being on this planet. And it comes at a specific time and in a specific place. In fact, it's predetermined time and its decreed place. Instead of asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us a long life in this world, we should ask Him to protect us from the grave, from the punishment of the grave, from the hellfire, and we should ask Him to grant us shelter in the hereafter and to grant us paradise. Life begins in the womb of the mother when the angel blows soul into the fetus by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have also learnt an important hadith in this context. And human life ends when the angel of death takes away the soul of a person by the order of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to Islam and according to Sunnah. Our life ends when the angel of death takes away our soul. Here I shall conclude my session. See you all in the next session. I hope you all have understood the lesson well.